Yuki Tsunoda is under fire once again after another disappointing qualifying session in Austria. The Japanese driver failed to advance out of Q1 again. That makes 3 Q1 exits in just the last 5 races. But this one stings in a whole different way, because it didn't just happen anywhere. It happened at the Red Bull Ring, Red Bull's home turf, the track where they should be flexing dominance. Instead, Tsunoda posted the worst qualifying result of any Red Bull-affiliated driver all weekend. Not Racing Bulls, not Red Bull Racing, not even their junior drivers doing demo laps. Just Tsunoda, at the bottom, when the spotlight was brightest. This isn't just another off day. It's not just a minor blip on the radar. This is starting to feel like the unraveling of a Formula One career. Because when the big bosses at Red Bull start losing faith, they don't wait. They don't give second chances. They replace you. And with the pipeline stacked and a super license waiver already granted to 16-year-old Arvid Lindblad, the message is crystal clear. Red Bull is getting ready to reshuffle. Big time. Let's break this down.
Red Bull junior Arvid Lindblad could become just the second Formula One driver after Max Verstappen to make his debut at 17, after the FIA granted the energy drinks brand's request for an exemption.
First off, let's be honest, defending Tsunoda's recent performances is getting harder and harder. Formula One may be a team sport, but at the end of the day, the stopwatch doesn't lie. And right now, Yuki's numbers are not good. Not by Red Bull standards, not by midfield standards, not by any standard. Since his promotion from Racing Bulls, formerly AlphaTauri, Tsunoda has only made it into Q3 times. 3. That's half as many Q3 appearances as he had at the junior team, where he was in significantly less competitive machinery. Somehow he was more effective when he had slower equipment. That's not just a bad look. That's the kind of stat that keeps team principals up at night. And it's not just qualifying. Look at the points. 7 points in his last 8 races with Red Bull. Compare that to 11 in his last 8 with Racing Bulls. That kind of regression isn't just disappointing, it's alarming. What makes things worse? The rising tide around him. Liam Lawson was on the verge of being forgotten. Just a few months ago, it seemed like Red Bull had moved on. But he came into Austria this weekend and lit up the timing screens, out-qualifying every Red Bull-affiliated driver, including Max Verstappen. That alone would have made headlines. But to do it while Tsunoda floundered at the back, that's career-altering. And then there's Isaac Hadjar. Quiet, consistent, fast. The kind of driver Red Bull likes. He's admitted he doesn't feel completely ready for Formula One yet. But guess what? He also said he'd jump at the opportunity if it came. That's the mindset they want. That's the mindset they reward. And now, the wild card, Arvid Lindblad. Let's put this into perspective. Lindblad is 16 years old. Most drivers his age are just trying to survive in karting or F4, but Red Bull saw enough raw talent to apply for and receive a super license exemption for him. That almost never happens. It's a move reserved for generational prospects, drivers who might be the next Verstappen or the next Hamilton. Lindblad's already tested Red Bull machinery at Imola. He'll be driving in an FP1 session at Silverstone, Verstappen's home Grand Prix. That's not some random promotional stunt. That's a calculated move, a message. You're next. Christian Horner said we need to be patient with Lindblad. That's corporate speak. We've heard it before. Red Bull says patience the way sharks say we're just circling. And behind the scenes, the wheels are already turning. Red Bull knows they have a performance crisis on their hands, and not just because of Tsunoda. Even Verstappen has been vocal about his frustrations with the current RB21. He's called it unpredictable, hard to balance, inconsistent through corners. When Max is frustrated, everyone listens. Because if Max is having trouble, what chance does anyone else have? Here's where that becomes a problem for Tsunoda. When the lead driver complains, the pressure shifts. Engineers scramble. Strategists get conservative. And the second seat? That becomes expendable, a testing ground, a scapegoat. So the question becomes, Can Red Bull afford to carry a struggling second driver when they're already fighting technical issues? And the answer is no, not with this much young talent knocking on the door, not when their brand reputation is built on speed, dominance, and ruthless precision. Investors want results, sponsors want wins. And when your teammate is Max Verstappen, decent doesn't cut it. You need to be great, or at least good enough to not embarrass the team on a global stage. To be clear, this isn't about hating on Yuki Tsunoda. He's a popular figure in the paddock. Charismatic, funny, a fan favorite in Japan, he's got one of the most marketable personalities on the grid. But Formula One is a results business, and right now he's just not delivering. It's also worth noting, Yuki's timing is horrendous. Honda, his main backer, is slowly exiting the sport. Their influence over driver placements? Diminishing. Aston Martin is already looking beyond, reportedly trying to lock down Verstappen or Russell as the long-term answer. That means Tsunoda can't count on Honda to bail him out anymore. So what does that leave? If Red Bull drops him after the summer break, and by the way, that's very much on the table, Tsunoda could find himself completely without a seat for the first time in his F1 career. No Red Bull, no Racing Bulls, no Honda-backed team waiting in the wings, no obvious landing spot. Unless another team decides to roll the dice, Yuki might be done. So here's where we stand. Red Bull has 3 clear paths. They give Yuki until the end of the season. Hope for improvement. Maybe he surprises us. Maybe he turns it around. They pull the trigger mid-season, replace him with Hajar or Lawson, and give Lindblad seat time at Racing Bulls to see what he can do in real F1 conditions. They let the clock run out and announce at season's end that the Tsunoda chapter is closed. No drama, no headlines, just a quiet goodbye. But make no mistake, that chapter is closing. The only question is how fast. Tsunoda may still have a few races left to prove he belongs, but every poor qualifying session chips away at the foundation. Every young driver who outperforms expectations, that's another reason to move on. This isn't just about Austria. It's not even about Yuki alone. This is about Red Bull's culture, their standard, their obsession with being the best, and cutting dead weight the moment it drags the machine down. So what do you think? Has Yuki Tsunoda reached the end of the road in Formula One? Is this just a temporary slump in a tough car? Or is Red Bull already planning the announcement that closes this chapter for good? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want the full breakdown on Arvid Lindblad's shocking rise through the junior ranks and what it means for the rest of the grid, stick around because that story is coming up next.